Kelvin Waits has been the police chief for the Georgetown Police Department since 2016, but next week he's saying goodbye. I speak exclusively with the chief for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Chief Kelvin Waits, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anytime. Obviously, you are the chief of police for the Georgetown Police Department, and I know that as a recent, you're stepping down and heading into retirement and moving over to the nonprofit sector. As a matter of fact,
yes,
WCBD reports that the city of Georgetown on Thursday announced that Police Chief Kelvin Waits is retiring after over 2 decades of service in the area. Where are you emotionally?
Oh man, it's you hear the term bittersweet, right? And but I do have to say it's more sweet than bitter. You know what I mean? I've had an amazing career, I've got a chance to really work with people in the community. I've had a chance to train with law enforcement executives from all across the world at the FBI National Academy. I've had a storybook career, and I'm thankful just to still have my health and senses about me, and to be able to move on and continue to serve. So yeah, it's a little bitter, but I'm really looking forward to chapter 2.
Chapter 2. What was chapter 1 like?
Oh man, it was amazing. I was never a kid that grew up saying I want to be a police officer. I wasn't that kid. I was born in Harlem, lived here with my family till I was about 10 years old, and then we moved to Charleston, and I spent the rest of my time growing up in West Ashley. And growing up early on, man, to be honest, and I hope at some point some young person will watch this video, because I'm a witness, and I can tell you that things were tough for me early on in life as a kid. I had asthma really, really bad when we lived in New York. And, I grew up, I had crooked legs. So, when I talk to young people, I always say, hey, you ever seen Forrest Gump? And they say, yes, sir. And I say, well, I wore the leg braces before he did. You know what I mean? And so, and that was my life, man. And the highlight of my day was getting home and seeing whether or not the elevator was working in our building. We lived on the 14th floor in the projects. And so most days the elevator did not work, right? And so me and my older brother, up the stairs we go, and sometimes I'd have an asthma attack. Sometimes I'd stop and cry because the pain hurt so bad in my legs. And so I tell him that I look back on that and I realize, I said, I'm not telling you this to feel sorry for me, but I want you to realize that there's no elevator that's going to ever carry you to any level of success. We all have to walk up the steps. And I said, that is what, because during that time, I didn't believe that my life was going to amount to anything. I just didn't as a kid. And so I'm thankful, I got out of I went in the military and served. And when I got out, I got in law enforcement. I had met the late Aileen Cribb, who passed away. And we had a conversation. He was interested in what I did in the military, and I was interested in what he did as a law enforcement officer. And I remember asking him, I said, what do you love most about law enforcement? And he told me, he said, I love helping people. And I said, what do you hate most about law enforcement? He said, I've never gotten used to telling a parent that their child is gone. He said, I've never got used to that. And he said, Kevin, I don't want to get used to it. And so we talked, and that was about a year later. I got out of the military. He told me, he said, hey man, if you ever need a job and you get out of the military, come see me. And so I did. And that's when I started my law enforcement career at the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office.
As a matter of fact, just to put out at the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office in 1997, then moved to the Horry County Police Department, where you served as Deputy Chief of Police and Interim Police Chief. And obviously you are now finishing out your professional career as Chief of Police at the Georgetown City Police Department.
Yes.
Who is Kelvin Waits now versus 24 years ago?
Oh man. Man, you hit heavy, man. You hit heavy. That's a great question. I can tell you that when I first got involved in law enforcement, straight out of the military, the mindset was for me was I'm coming out of the military. I want to do a good job. And so the mindset for me was do the work. You know what I mean? Do the work. My job was to lock up the bad guys, right? That is what, that is what I went in. And so over time, I've realized that it is so much more to law enforcement, and so much more to serving to just locking up the bad guy. You know what I mean? And so, I can tell you a quick story about we had a situation with a young lady who lost her child. Unfortunately, it was tragic. And so we responded, our officers responded to her house for domestic disturbance. And we found out when we got to the root of the problem that it was involving the fact that she didn't have enough money. Her family didn't have enough money to put a headstone on her deceased child's, tomb, gravesite. And so, one of my officers says, Chief, I just wish we could help, and we did. We were able to go out in the community and raise money to put a headstone on her dead child's grave. And so things like that, when people talk about, what do you take pride in the most? What do you remember? Things like that hit close to home with me. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a major, and I remember the day we brought her in because of course we didn't want to go out there and set it up without her approval, right? So we brought her in and said, hey, it's here. And just to see the emotion, you know what I'm saying? I mean, she said, and it was so funny, man, we all laughed about this, but this happened. She said, Chief, I ain't gonna lie, I had to take me a drink before I came up in here today just to get my mind right. You know what I'm saying? It was just that emotional, you know what I mean? But things like that, to really, our job as law enforcement, I don't care if it's in Georgetown or anywhere in the world, is to help the community solve problems. You know what I'm saying? It's so much more bigger than just locking up the bad guy. So I take pride in situations and things like that I've been blessed to be a part of over the years.
And as a matter of fact, Mayor Brendan Barber said that Waite's departure quote is the city of Georgetown will lose one of its finest members of the law enforcement community. What is the state of law enforcement as you know it right now?
Oh man, it's I don't want to say that it is in it's in disarray, but I will say that I believe, and I'm speaking for myself when I say this, that we for so long it's been about that 911 call and us getting there and fixing everything. You know what I mean? It's been about that for so long, and I think as a law enforcement community that we have to do a better job of listening. You know what I'm saying? Listening. We don't always have the answers as soon as we get there. You know what I'm saying? And we have to do it because we can't fix everything. You know what I mean? So I think that our posture needs to be more of sitting down at the table and really listening to people who we hadn't traditionally listened to. You know what I'm saying? And listening to those conversations, listening to the tough criticism that goes along with it, because nothing good comes easy. You know what I mean? And so I believe from that communities can trust each other. And the police, we're part of that community. And so there's just a lack of trust because of everything that's been happening, rightfully so. And so we gotta build those bridges of trust. And it's not easy. It is not easy, and it's gonna take work. And like back in the day, we've all heard the term, hey, if you just meet me halfway. But from a law enforcement perspective, we have to reach beyond that. You know what I'm saying? We have to reach more than halfway because if nobody blinks, if nobody budgets, if nobody takes the initiative, nothing's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So we have to reach further than just half the way.
And who are those people, Chief, that you're listening to now that you, I don't want to say traditionally didn't listen to before?
I would say every community. You know what I'm saying? Not just, the white community, not just the black community, not just the Latino, every community, because everybody brings something to the table. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? And for a long time, I just don't believe that, like I said, we've done a good job of listening.
What else are you listening to when it comes to the community?
Just really what they're feeling, what they're seeing. We all have different perspectives, right? And so, I can tell you a story, man, that changed my life and changed my law enforcement career, just on perceptions and so this is several years ago. I'm a captain at the police department. I'm on the way to work, and I hear a call, and the call is the dispatcher dispatches officer. Hey, I need you to go over here because so and so can't get her son to go to school. So I'm like, okay, I was in the area. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna just stop by just to see what's going on. But in my mind, I said to myself, he's going to school. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said. I said, he's going to school. I didn't know what was going on, Quintin, but I said to myself, he's going to school. And so my mind was already made up. This little kid's going, I don't know what his problem is, but he's going to school. So, and that was because that's how I was raised, right? That's how you were raised.
Right.
You go to school and you go to church,
That's
period.
right.
I don't care if you're sniffling, you got a cold, your leg broke, whatever. You going, right? And so I get there, I don't see a kid. The officer's talking to mom, and so I say, well, where's he at? She said, well, he took off running, told me his name, told me he was wearing. So I'm riding around, I'm just looking for a little kid that fits that description. I see him sitting on the sidewalk. I pull up, I roll my window down, and before I could even say, hey, how you doing? He says, I'm not going to school, you can't make me. I said, okay. So I roll the window up, I get out, we're talking, man. He's 10 years old. I started a conversation about cartoons, cars, food. We talked about all kind of stuff, man, just so I could kind of bring things down and get him comfortable. So eventually I said, hey, can I sit down? Yes, sir. Sat down, we just talking. And so I said, man, I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, we can work it out. Let's go back to the house. He agreed. So when he stood up, I realized right off the bat what happened. And so this kid stood up, man, 10 years old, and he had on the orange slippers that they give to people when they're arrested and they're booked into the local detention center. That is what he had on his feet. And that is why he did not want to go to school. That's why his mom couldn't get him to go to school, because she sent him to school wearing those slippers, and he was embarrassed. And so, of course, I'm in shock, and I'm like, why are you wearing those? And he said, my mom took my sneakers and she sold them to buy crack. And Quintin, I'm telling you, man, that situation broke me down. I got him in the car, put the seatbelt on him, and we're riding down the road. I'm looking out the window, and I'm crying. The tear, it's like somebody turned on the water faucet. The tears just coming, right? I couldn't even look at him, And it was, number one, the fact that no kid should have to go through that.
Right.
I don't care what you look like. No kid should have to go through that. And number two was, I got it wrong. In my mind, I said, what? He going to school.
Okay.
Not knowing that he was feeling pain, and that he was, he was really the victim in this whole situation. And so it taught me a lesson about going into situations with my mind being open. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we have to respond to 911 calls. Yes, we have to, make quick decisions. But when we have time, it conditioned me to be able to pump the brakes and not think that I have all of the answers going in. And so, and I share that, I've shared that with officers I've mentored in the past, and I share that with the police department. And, we just, like I said, we have to have a different posture than we have in the past. And that posture should be in terms of listening and sitting down at the table with everybody. But that situation changed me and taught me a lesson.
Amazing. What should be the posture going into the future?
I think it should be more of a, and I can only speak for me, right? I can speak for me, and I can speak from my experience. And I will tell you that I've had that opportunity to serve some of the best citizens, man, in the city of Georgetown. I can remember during the George Floyd murder, nobody knew from a law enforcement perspective. the aftermath, right? Nobody really knew what was going to happen in terms of community response because everybody was hurt. I'm in pain. I was hurt. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you don't know how are things going to respond. Things were happening up to the north. Things were happening to the south. And so I'm proud to say that during that time, the work that we've done prior to that in building relationships really paid off because we got phone calls. Hey, Chief, just want you to know that we are planning on marching and doing a peaceful protest. We want y'all to participate. We want you to be there, and we didn't want to do nothing without y'all knowing about it. And I thought, to me, that if I could use a term that was for me the proof in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? Because that didn't have to happen, Quintin. It did not have to happen. It could have been, just protests and negative things happening, but it wasn't like that. And not only we planned it together. You know what I'm saying? We planned it together. And so, like I said, that said a lot about the community and our relationship with the community. And we have to do things. The posture should be all about togetherness. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to ever agree with everything. But if I can understand that, Quintin, you see 6, right? A 6 is down, and from the other side, I see 9. And I can respect the fact that, hey, you got a different perspective than I do, but I'm respectful of that. I realize that, and I know that just because I'm right doesn't mean you're wrong. Then we can make some things happen, man. We can really make some things happen. But we have, whatever we do, it has to be together.
And Chief, let me ask you, what is the health and welfare of Georgetown with your department's crime prevention?
Well, we work hard to engage, like I said, the community, and I think hey, no entity is perfect at all, and we're not. But I'm telling you, our focus has been for the past 5 years to really engage the community, find out who the stakeholders are, get them to the table, talk, work with them. We just had a national night out, which was awesome, man. And I'm telling you, I was standing there and I'm like, man, this is gonna be my last one. But it is always a great time to be up close, with the community, not during crisis, you know what I'm saying, but actually to come out and enjoy ice cream cone with them, or hot dog with them, or to laugh, or to dance. We had a double Dutch crew come through, man, and they just shut it down. But it goes back to what I said about being together, and the community just doesn't need to see us when they call 911 where something bad's happening. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we try. The pandemic is really challenged everybody. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, because on one end we want to really engage, but on the other end, we have to look out for the well-being and the safety of the police officers as well, and do what we all can do to stay healthy. So it's been a challenging time, but like I said, I've had an opportunity to serve some of the best citizens in the world, and they have made our lives easier and made our jobs easier during the pandemic. The citizens here in Georgetown, I can't say enough about them.
And I love Georgetown. Everybody dismisses Georgetown, but I love it. There's so much history there.
Yeah.
So
the
much
best kept secret on the Grand Strand, man.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what, Chief, actually those? But still, COVID is still going on, obviously. But what are those challenges? Those other challenges for your department?
Well, just like every other department, recruiting, right? The COVID, the outcry for social justice across the country. Some people feeling like the citizens may not appreciate law enforcement like they have in the past. It has, for us. It's affected recruitment. We could have a process, a couple years ago, and be challenged to get everybody in, to get them tested, because it was so many. And more recent times, it's just harder on recruitment and retention, and just the challenges of really staying locked in and engaged with the community, because everybody's doing the best they can to stay healthy and keep safe.
Absolutely. What is the current retention rate in your department?
Right now, thank to God, thanks to God, we're only down one police officer, and so we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good.
Amazing. And how has the threat of
Yes.
crime been reduced in Georgetown with your crime prevention?
Well, I think what has happened is, and just like every city or every town, we've had crisis. We've had serious cases, murders and different things, acts of violence, and I truly believe, I know that because of our relationship with the community, we've been able to, in the past, and even recently, quickly deal with situations because we've had a connection to the community. We've had a relationship with the community, and we work together to make things happen. Nobody wants anything bad happening in their community, and so when the level of trust and respect is there, there's communication back and forth. You know what I'm saying? When we have crimes that are committed and nobody's saying anything, that troubles me because it tells me that there's no trust, there's no communication. So we've been successful in dealing with situations here locally.
And what practices have your department employed to meet the challenges of the 21st century as far as school leadership?
Well, yeah. Listen, sometimes my staff would look at me like, "Chief, are you serious?" You know what I mean? It is really been about engaging the community. I have a police community advisory board that I meet with every other month. We have a voice program that, and I can tell you about that program. It's a program that targets elderly people in the community, right? And we get volunteers to come in, and we call them 3 times a week to say nothing but, "Hey, how you doing? What you up to today? You need anything?" You know what I'm saying? Just to have that conversation with them, because so many times they go forgotten. You know what I'm saying? We forget about them, and nobody talks to them. And if the volunteer calls a certain amount of times and we can't get an answer, we send a police officer around to the house. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure. And look, in most cases it's just, "Oh, I had a doctor's appointment. I forgot to let y'all know." But we do have the voice program. We constantly do National Night Out. We started a program called a couple years ago called Tie a Tie Tuesday. So it was, we were having a staff meeting one day. It was leading up to Easter. We were about a month out, and we were just talking, and we talked about how when we were kids, everybody, didn't know how to tie a tie. An adult, a father figure, whoever would have to teach us. And so I said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's invite the community in." Right? It's leading up to Easter. Everybody's gonna go out, man. And I'm used to back in the day. Now I remember King Street and Blue Steams,
Oh, yeah.
and all of those stores down there. You know what I'm saying? So, I said, "Let's teach the young people how to tie ties." And they said, "Man, Chief, are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm serious." And man, you would have been surprised, man. We had the kids coming in with their moms, single moms, just kids coming in, and we had a great time. We gave them a little snack. We just talked it up, chatted up a little bit. But my thing is, Quint, it doesn't take much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes everybody's strapped. Everybody budget is strapped, right? But it doesn't take much. Buy some snacks, bring some ties from the house, teach the young people how to tie ties. And that's what I mean when I talk about not just meeting in the middle, but reaching further. You know what I mean? But we've done those things, and I believe it's been successful in helping us engage the community.
And as you can see right now, this is one of the reasons why I'm dressed this way, because I don't know how to tie like that.
Oh man. Okay.
This is why I dress like this all the time.
I got you. We can definitely get you schooled up on that now.
Yes, yeah. I appreciate it greatly. And I failed to ask you this earlier, obviously, Chief, but you talk about the retention rate. You said that, hey, we're just down to one police department officer, that is. How do you develop personnel?
You said, how do we develop them?
Personnel. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we have year-long, round the clock training. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and we have mandatory training that we have to do through the academy. But in terms of that, man, we have anything. I've always, I read a lot, and police magazine, this, that, anything that's going on around the country, around the world. we have a pretty sophisticated records management system that we can share those videos, articles with the whole department at one time. We do a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? We do that. We have an incentive for our officers to go back to college. The city will, reimburse them for a lot of that. And we work really hard during the recruiting and hiring process to make sure that we get the right people. You know what I mean? And that is so important. If you look at around the country, some of the things that's happening, some of the officers that get in trouble, most of the officers that get in trouble, they in a lot of cases they have a long list of bad behavior. It's not an overnight thing. It's something most times that escalate, and so we do our part through the testing process, through psychological evaluations, through polygraph examinations to make sure that we get the right people on board that's going to be a good fit for the community.
And let me ask you this: this might be a little tough question here, but what is your engagement of regionalization?
Well, I can tell you that, and if I'm not answering your question, let me know. I'll do the best I can. But we're part of the 15th Judicial Circuit, right? Which consists of all of the law enforcement agencies in Horry and Georgetown County, including the solicitor. And so, on a monthly basis, we meet. Every month we meet. It may be Georgetown, it may be Horry County Sheriff's Office, it may be Surfside PD, but we all meet and we talk about what's going on that's impacting each agency, what's going on that's impacting each community. And we have that flow of information. And we don't always, we meet once a month, but if something comes up, we talk. Whether we get on a WebEx, whether we get whatever's going on, we keep that communication going. And I think it's been beneficial to everybody involved because, if you need resources, you got them right there at your fingertips. No law enforcement agency today should be working by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't. If you're a standalone law enforcement agency, it's just like you in a treadmill. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not going anywhere. It takes everybody. It takes everybody. And so I'm proud of that partnership. And like I said, we meet once a month. And in that, I hope I'm answering your regional question, but that's what happens. That's what we do here.
And Chief, you talk about the community a lot during this interview, and obviously what's going on here in Charleston as far as growth and development, infrastructure, and gentrification.
Yeah.
How does the city of Georgetown, and particularly your police department, deal with that growth, but with smart growth?
Well, we, because Georgetown is, smack dab in the middle between Charleston and Myrtle Beach, things are happening, we're slowly growing, but at some point, things are going to explode, in terms of growth and development. And so, been just talking back and forth to, city council the past few years and every budget process. And I just talk and we kind of remind them that, hey, keep in mind that as the city grows, public safety needs to continue to grow as well, not just police, but fire as well, because we don't want to not plan and be prepared for the growth, and then, a police chief or a fire chief has to stand in front of council and say, hey, I need 200, what I'm saying? You don't want to be in that situation. So we've been talking about that. The city's been planning for it. And so I know that they'll be prepared for future growth.
And how have you actually enhanced infrastructure that focuses on implementing a facility master plan initiative and emerging technologies?
Well, we have in terms of infrastructure, we do have room to grow here at the police department. We do have and I'm telling you, when I started, we were handwriting police reports. And, now, the officers are, doing them on MDTs in their vehicles. They can get a driver's license, and instead of having to, write out a ticket like they used to, they could just take your driver's license and swipe it all out. I mean, the technology has grown leaps and bounds, and it's going to have to continue to grow because, on the other side of the fence, cybercrime is a real issue. You know what I'm saying? So we try to train our people and stay up on technology as much as we can, because that is the way of the world. That is the way of the world.
And that brings me to my next question. What is your technology sourcing?
When you say sourcing, what do you mean now?
What particular sources do you have to keep up with this technology?
Well, that part, in terms of investigating crimes, we have tools, right? And I don't want to put it all out there, but we do have tools, yeah, to help us keep up, because the criminal element, of course, they play by different rules than we have to play by. You know what I'm saying? And the technology, they're increasing in terms of technology. Everybody sees, the little phishing emails, and there's so many different things that happen. And even in solving crimes, cell phone technology has been very, very important. You know what I'm saying? At one time, the hottest thing was DNA technology, right? Coming up to speed. But now, just cell phone and computer crimes. But we, like I said, we do our best behind the scenes to keep our people trained up. If a new tool comes up that we can utilize to help us, solve crimes. And that's where being a part of that regional district, like you talked about earlier, comes in, because, of course, maybe the Georgetown Police Department doesn't have the resources that the Myrtle Beach Police Department has. But guess what? Those chiefs talk. You know what I'm saying? I can say, hey, Chief Proc, I need your help. This is what we got. Okay, no problem. And we have it. So we also work, closely. We have the Myrtle Beach out of FBI office that we work with closely. So, the resources and the technology and anything we need close by is right at our fingertips. But it is because and only because of relationships and networking.
And let me turn over to you, obviously, because Channel 2 said this too. Following his departure on August 9th, Waits will begin his new career as executive director of AIMI Kids program in Georgetown. The nonprofit organization is, quote, dedicated to helping youth develop into responsible and productive citizens and protect public safety and positively impact as many youth as possible through the efforts of a diverse and innovative staff. Let me ask you this. How did you develop yourself into a responsible and productive citizen?
Well, it wasn't just me. I would have to talk about my parents, Francis Waits, who still lives in West Ashley, and my dad, who passed away, Isaac Waits Sr. They always, man, instilled in us, and you grew up in Charleston, so what time it is, man. Being around those older folks, they would say, little things like a humble child, taste the grace, and respect is due to, and we had to, and it's so different, man. You walk down the street sometimes and you see young people, or people don't even speak, but that's not how we were raised. You know what I mean? We had to speak, because if Miss Brown told your parents, well, I saw Kelvin today and he walked past me and he acted like he didn't even know me, and I had to speak, we had problems. You know what I'm saying? Respect was a big thing. Even when, and we were taught that at an early age, people would come to visit, Saturday afternoon, Sunday after church, and we would come out, me and my older brother, I remember we'd come out the room, and we were required to give them the greeting of the day. Hey, Mr. Washington, how you doing? We spoke, but you didn't see us no more after that. You know what I'm saying? You did not see us again after that. You didn't see us and you didn't hear us, because there was separation between grown people's conversations, right? And so today, a lot of times that separation doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? And it causes problems. But we had structure. You know what I'm saying? Our parents worked around the clock, hard. And so me and my older brother, we were latchkey, what they call latchkey kids, but people always associate that term with a negative connotation, but we understood that my brother had to take care of doing the yard, and I had to clean up the house. I mean, we had to do our part. It wasn't come home from school and our parents weren't there, so we pull out the paper plates and cups and party. It was, we had to do our part. I remember my mom On her way to work, she worked at MUSC for years. I didn't wash the dishes at night before I went to bed. When she got up at 3:30, guess what? I had to get up, Kevin. Why didn't you wash the dishes? Whatever. I'm a kid. I forgot. Okay, get up. You need to take care of that right now. We have responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And if we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we were held accountable. So to answer your question, that is what instilled in me a sense of respect, a sense of being driven and just having if it's setting goals and doing the best you can to accomplish it. Yeah.
What are your goals for this particular organization?
Well, my goals are to do the best I can to impact the young men that come through the program. My goal is to have have a creative spirit, bring new and out of the box ideas to the table. And my goal is, to do the best I can and it's always my goal, to do the best I can to make the people around me better and make things go to the next level.
And what resources are actually available to make most of these young men responsible and productive citizens?
Well, you're talking within the program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, within the program, there's several. They go to school. They can learn trades. The community, certain people in the community will have an opportunity to come in and fellowship with them and share with them and instill different things in them. So they have an ample opportunity to really turn things around if they want to. They just got to be inspired to do so. Yes, sir. Yeah.
And which officer has inspired you over your career as police chief?
And I would say a gentleman named Matthew Grayson. Matthew Grayson. He was my first patrol sergeant. I was on his shift, and I remember when I first started. He still works at the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office. He's a lieutenant over there, and I never forget what he said to me the first time I met him, and when I see him now, he says the same thing. And he said, "Man, let me tell you something. I don't care what happens. I don't care what you go through. I don't care what you experience. Trust in the Lord." He said, "Trust in the Lord." He said, "That's all you do, man. Stay focused and trust in the Lord." And what he said, man, has rung true for me ever since then. But he every chance I get a chance, I just call him sometimes to say, "Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?" But every opportunity I get to tell it, man, Matthew Grayson really made a difference for me. Yeah, but and it seemed like something simple he said, but it was very powerful, very powerful.
Powerful indeed. Speaking of making a difference, Chief, obviously you read a lot, which a lot of other people do as well. But when people look back at your time as police chief at Georgetown, what do you want them to say about your legacy?
I want them to say that I was always approachable, right? I want them to say that I cared about the young people in our community. I want them to say that I was somebody that I was a chief that didn't just sit in the office and push papers. I want them to to understand, recognize, and appreciate the fact that you would see me. And I enjoyed fellowshipping with the community, and I would tell people all the time. I said, look, if you're having a community event, let me know, because we need to be there in some shape or capacity. And so that's how I want to be remembered. Somebody asked me one time. He said, "Well, are you not the first African American police chief in the city of Georgetown?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "But the significance of that, I get it. I totally get it. Just based on the history of Georgetown and the fact that it can possibly inspire a young person to say, hey, I can do that too." But I told her, I said, I don't want to be remembered for just being the first African American police chief. I want to be remembered as being one of the best police chiefs that help bring people together and engage the community. So hopefully, that'll be my legacy.
Yes, indeed. Well, Georgetown Police Chief Kelvin Waits, thank you for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.